Hey there, Aries. Welcome to your reading for the week of September 22nd. You have this purpose card and this ego card. Definitely with the eclipse that's happening on Sunday, it is kind of like all about your ego, but not like in an ego way. Not like saying you have a bad ego or something like that, but more, I feel that Aries could feel very driven at this time. And what I would say is the energy isn't saying, Aries, you can't be driven. But what it is saying is that, like, are you being driven for a good reason, or are you just trying to, like, force something to happen, right? And so that is kind of like the energy that I get from those first two cards. And it's so, again, the reading doesn't say, you shouldn't work or you shouldn't do things that are, going to lead to success or something, but it just is about being practical with that Queen of Pentacles, right? I think the Queen of Pentacles is a great card for you to get this week for sure, especially after this eclipse, because I feel it'll probably make you more practical, make you more, think in practical ways. And that's exactly what I would be doing here, Aries. Wouldn't worry too much about the tower. Everybody's had the tower again this week, so, anytime this happens, there's like some sort of global tower moment, but whatever. You have the Page of Swords. The Queen of Pentacles came out with the Five of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles. So the Page of Swords is about curiosity and looking into things that interest you or stand out to you. He's looking over to the ego and purpose thing. And, again, another good thing for you to look at, Aries, with this eclipse would be like, are you doing something just because of ego? And again, I think the word ego gets overused in spiritual circles anyway, just in general. But what I would say is like, are you doing things that you actually want to be doing in life or work or with your health? Or are you just trying to, push ahead for pushing ahead's sake, right? And I think if you kind of like slow down, and if you're more practical at this time and you do your research and make sure you're doing things for the right reasons, then things will go very well for you. I also definitely feel this could be love. This could, the tower does not have to be a bad thing. This could represent like a surprise connection here, Aries. And if you are looking for love, I do feel that you could have like a little bit of a secret admirer here, or you're about to. Next, we have the Five of Pentacles came out with this. These two wanted to come out together here. And the Five of Pentacles can be about feeling left out in the cold. It can be about, poverty consciousness, things like that. The Queen of Pentacles is very practical and like down to earth. And she, pays attention to what what increases her finances and all that other stuff. So again, I actually feel pretty good about this with this and the King of Pentacles here. It seems to me like you could be doing things to improve your financial situation. Or it's like you are finding more practical ways to improve your finances, which I think would be great for you, Aries, with these two cards. Also, I do like the King and Queen of Pentacles together. Again, next you have the King of Pentacles. These two are divine counterparts, of course, but the King and Queen of Pentacles are like two people who actually want to make things work. So, that's like half the battle nowadays, and, I think this could be a good person that's coming in for you here with the King of Pentacles. I do feel some sort of financial change, and what I would say here is, again, I wouldn't really worry about the tower. You have the Six of Swords right next to it, and so just in this bottom row, I feel like I would pay attention to any financial discoveries that you're having this week. It's like that's the word that I feel like using here with this bottom row, because the Six of Swords moving on to calmer shores. It is improvements or creating an improvement. So really, I feel that there could be some financial improvements here with these cards, probably in how you use a skill, which I'm pretty sure came up in the eclipse readings that I did for you this month. I'm pretty sure we said something about you like changing the way that you use a skill, or it's like you're using a skill more. With the Page of Swords, you have the Five of Wands. You might be attracting a person that there is competition for, and you might be surprised that the person chooses you, so, or vice versa, right? So that is definitely a possibility here. I am a huge fan of studying the competition right now. I feel every single person on earth basically should be studying competition, like in work and business and career and everything that you do, because there's just, I think there's a lot of opportunity in kind of like reading between the lines right now for people, meaning that if people read between the lines, or if they, kind of like study what the competition is not doing, that really is where the success is. You have this card that says change your tune on it, And, we have Uranus and Gemini. Uranus and Gemini is kind of like about new perspectives, or perspectives that people haven't thought of yet, right? So, in a lot of ways, it's very innovative, kind of like Pluto and Aquarius, which we also have right now. And so I feel that if we study the competition, if we see what they're doing, what they're not doing, and if we fill in those gaps, we can become very successful, and definitely a big fan of that right now. With the Five of Cups and the Queen of Pentacles, you have the Three of Cups. Again, some of you, it does seem like you're coming out of the cold. So, if you have been feeling lonely, or if you've been feeling left out in some area of your life, I really don't get much here. It's a very simple message for you, Aries. I just feel like you are coming out of the cold with this energy. I feel like there could be a lot. You could be feeling very supported at this time as well, which is nice. If you are meeting a person, I'm telling you right now, I think this looks really good for a new person, not a past person. We'll talk about that in the third row. But definitely a new person, could be very supportive. It just kind of seems like you're two peas in a pod type of, that's like the type of energy that I get off of this person. So again, I really, like love for you. With the King of Pentacles, you have the Two of Wands. Yeah, Trailblazer energy, right? Your middle name should be Aries, Trailblazer, whatever your last name is, right? Because, that is what you need to be doing right now, is like blazing trails, trying new things. But as long as you're not forcing them, and as long as these are like heart-based ideas, things that you actually want to be doing in your life, then you will be a trailblazer. If you try to force it, then you won't. So again, I think for a lot of you, this could be saying that you're just like a little bit more unique right now, or it's like I feel like maybe you have unique perspectives to share with the world through action, and you just haven't done it yet. And that's the feeling I get on the Two of Wands. Next, we're going to look at messages from your future self. You have the Strength card and this Change Your Tune card. Yes, very important. I feel that you should definitely watch your words for sure, and start telling the story that you want to see in the world, because that's pretty much what we all need to do right now, is we need to watch what we're saying. I feel like you have developed a lot of strength. Even in your next row, you have this card that says the end of a tough cycle approaches. So, again, I think for a lot of you, the strength you have developed, is what I'm trying to spit out here, is going to help you become more successful in the future. You have the King of Cups, the Page of Cups, and the Seven of Swords. King of Cups could be a person, could be love coming in for you. I would say it's like a very stable person. I always think of, the King of Cups is a little bit more unshakable. He's sitting in the middle of the ocean on this card, but he is perfectly fine. He's not worried about what's going on around him. So, as far as a person is concerned, usually King of Cups type people, again, are a little bit more unshakable, stable, secure. They make you feel that way as well. So if you're wondering who this person is, if you haven't met him yet, it'll be a person that makes you feel that way. Also, moving. You always get moving now, which makes perfect sense. You have Jupiter in your fourth, right? So I feel for a lot of you that, there could be changes in the home, or you could be making changes in the home in some way. And so, moving is definitely highlighted. I just had Jupiter in my fourth and I moved, last year. And so, again, I think that it's very common. Now, you don't necessarily have to move. You can just be making moves in life. And again, people always ask me why I say the King of Cups represents moving. I wouldn't really say he does, but what I would say is that he is my card. Like, I have some clue cards in the tarot, and I call him the home. And, he's the card of the home. And he also has this boat here, which represents traveling into the unknown. And so usually with the King of Cups, we are usually moving somewhere we've never lived before. But you could also be making moves just in general. Especially with that tower, you could be causing shakeups in your life, or creating a shakeup in your life and just making moves. You have the Page of Cups. I feel like this is, like I said, I get like two peas in a pod, type of energy here, Aries, if you're attracting love. I definitely feel this is a new person for sure, like a new person, secret admirer. You could be the secret admirer as well, so take it how it resonates. But, this definitely could be your person if you're looking for love, for sure. As always, for the past 2 years, Aries, you've been getting these messages about a dream. It's like the one challenge, like that is your challenge, I think, for Aries, is that you have a vision. And, but Aries, I think what Aries has to overcome is the past story, right? Like whatever you lived through, or, it's like maybe no one in your family has ever been successful and you're going to be the first. But it's like that's also the challenge that you have to face, right? And so I think this boils down to something very simple, which is your belief in yourself, right? You have the devil in the next row, right next to this card, and the devil can just be the devil on your shoulder, that voice in the back of your head that controls what you do. And, I feel like conquering that devil is kind of what's going on here with this reading as well, or at least it's encouraging you to do that. You have the Seven of Swords. I would absolutely, number one, I always say the Seven of Swords is not a bad card. It is, it can be lying, cheating, stealing, but it's a golden card. Golden cards in the tarot are meant to be positive no matter what. Having said that, you have the devil. So, whenever these two come up together in a reading, I would definitely be careful of any liar, cheater, stealers in your life. There's something weird about this eclipse on the 21st. I'm recording this on the 18th. It'll be published on September 19th. So if you're watching it early, but even if not, eclipse energy lasts for like 6 months after the eclipse. So I feel for some of you that this could be like a person from the past. And there's something about this eclipse. I don't know what it is, but there's something about it that seems to be bringing people back from the past. So, again, I would be careful of any liar, cheater, stealers. The other thing is, again, the positive side of this is that he's stealing those swords from an army in the background. So again, new perspectives, right? He's going to war, but in a different way, which is a new perspective. It's a different way of doing it. And, he's just stealing the weapons so they can't be used against him in battle. And so the Seven of Swords says you have to come up with other ways of doing things. The other thing is there's something about energy this week, but I'm talking about like force. I kind of said this at the beginning of the reading, the whole ego thing. It's like if you're forcing things to happen, then that's not going to work. But he has these polka dots on his cloak, and the polka dots in the tarot represent being more playful, taking a more lighthearted, playful approach to things, needing to be more playful as well. So I think if you have that mindset going into things that you're working on or anything you're doing, then things will go well. Again, if you're like trying to force things, probably not. With the King of Cups, you have the Four Wands. Definitely a person that you could marry. I'm not saying you absolutely have to, but the Four Wands is a very strong commitment. I also feel like if you are thinking about moving and if you're wondering if it's a good idea, this is a big yes. The Four Wands is kind of like saying you need to commit to something, or you should commit to, committing to something would be a good idea for you. And so I definitely feel like saying definitely yes, you should, if you're thinking about committing to a project or an idea, or a move, then this is yes. Any move that you're making, you should fully commit to, right? With the Page of Cups, you have the Six of Wands. Six of Wands can be a victory or big success coming in for you, a big win, a quick win. And it can also say, again, I really feel like you're attracting someone that there's competition for. Six of Wands would be a person that, is successful. So you could be attracting a very successful person. This person here is meant to be jealous. I do feel that, Aries. I feel like some of you could be attracting a connection that people will be jealous of. I also feel you are making moves that people will be jealous of, in a good way. It's like, it's almost like you're making big moves, like I said. And I feel that could lead to, a little bit of jealousy. The best thing to do, of course, with this card is to ignore it. But, I feel that if you're thinking about making any moves, I would do it. With the Seven of Swords, you have the Seven of Wands. Fear, right? 2 sevens is internal fears that don't exist. So right here, this could say that you might be a little bit scared of a new connection. I think we all are. Not a criticism at all, Aries. But, I think at times we all can be a little bit afraid. And the Seven of Wands about, drawing a line in the sand, putting up boundaries. It basically says, this first part of the reading is kind of saying to me that you could be attracting a new connection. The second part is saying to me that part of your story is that maybe you always get hurt, or maybe you have a history of attracting liars, cheaters, stealers, or whatever. So that this could be like the underlying fear, right? Is how I'm seeing it. The Seven of Wands actually says there's nothing to fear, right? Why? Because the Seven of Wands is about drawing a line in the sand. It says when you know what your boundaries are, then no one can cross them because you know what they are. The second someone starts, you can call it out. Or you can say, this person crosses boundaries. I'm going to leave. I'm not going to be afraid of being alone. I'm not going to stay in something that isn't right? So you're basically, this is encouraging you to stick up for yourself here, which I think would, of course, be a good idea. Next, we're going to look at what you don't see coming. There's definitely something you don't see coming, Tower. And again, like everybody's had the Tower this week. You have this card that says the answers you need are coming. You have this card that says the end of a tough cycle approaches. Yes. So, this might not be bad at all, what's showing up here. You could be ending a difficult cycle with that card, and you could be getting a lot of answers as well. You have the Ten of Swords, the Devil, and the Tower. I would definitely be careful if you have any past people who have stabbed you in the back or anyone who's done you dirty or anything like that. I would be careful of those people like returning to your life or allowing those people into your life. The Ten of Swords can say something is dead, done, over with, and it can also be a blessing in disguise. So I feel a lot of you could be creating some sort of a blessing in disguise, or you could be doing something to create a blessing in disguise in your life, and I feel that would be a good idea with the Ten of Swords, where it's like he needs to see the blessing in the situation that he's been in, because when he does that, he's implementing the lesson, right? So if you have been through something difficult recently, this can say, like, what is the thing you learned? If you implement it, you'll get the blessing. You have the Devil. Again, I would be careful of any past devils. I really feel this is like your devil on your shoulder, like I said. Sometimes I feel that with the devil, that it can just be something that's controlling us or something that holds us back, that is really our inner voice, that is something that is inside of us that we just need to conquer. So I do feel that, to make this positive, that you should be looking at any devils on your shoulder, anything that's saying you can't do this, you can't do that, any of those inner voice things, would be a good thing to kind of like work on at this time. And again, this Virgo eclipse is very good for working on, any blockages, challenges, anything that you're dealing with. So, again, it is kind of like a good time to do that in the first place. You have the Tower. The Tower can be a Tower moment, of course. Everybody's had it, basically, so it wouldn't surprise me if there were more global Tower moments. We're going to see a lot of them between now and 2033. I mean, it's just Uranus and Gemini. Uranus will be in Gemini until 2033. Technically, it moves into Cancer in 2032, but it's only for a short period of time before it retrogrades back. And really, is this something to worry about? No. Number one, there's, it just is what it is. Number two, really this peaks around like 2028. So, I expect it to improve over time, and it's not all bad either. There are going to be good shakeups that happen. There are going to be sudden breakthroughs and things like that. But again, I always tell people, like, one of my big bugaboo with astrology is I think that people just look at it as predictive instead of like working with it, right? And so these are things we should be researching. These are things we should be looking for, is breakthroughs in our own life and innovative ideas in our own life. And if you look for it, you will find it. So, again, I would be looking for breakthroughs as well. With the Ten of Swords, you have the Nine of Cups. So again, blessing in disguise. Nine of Cups can be a wish or wish fulfillment. Nine of Cups is about being in the energy of what you want. And the whole entire reading has kind of said that about, the whole not forcing something. I think that's maybe a little bit of a challenge this week for you. And needing to kind of like just be a thing. That's what the Nine of Cups wants us to do. I know that's easier said than done, but, that's what I'm getting there. With the Devil, you have the Emperor. Yes, I feel you need to be the Emperor. You need to be in your Aries energy with this card. The Emperor, he's also kind of just chilling out, right? He's sitting in this chair. He has his armor on underneath his cloak. He's not forcing anything to happen. He is sitting here and he's waiting for an opportunity. So again, there's like another message here of you not forcing things this week and being maybe a little bit more patient. With the Tower, you have the Nine of Wands, more boundaries, right? It's like you've been burned before, I feel, and I feel this is saying, like, as long as you practice healthy boundaries, you will be perfectly fine, especially if this is love-related for you here, Aries. The other thing is I feel that you are protected, really, and so I think you need to realize you're protected. The other thing, on top of all that, is that the Nine of Wands is an amazing card for experimentation. So anything you can do to experiment with like new ideas, new processes, new business ideas, new directions, all that would be really, really good with the Nine of Wands. Next, we're going to look at the good stuff. Here you go. You have this Clean It Up card and this To the Sea card, which is funny because we talked about the boat on the King of Cups, which, he's traveling into the unknown. The To the Sea card is very similar. It says you need to do things to travel into the unknown. The Clean It Up card is like cleaning up your energy, cleaning up your vibe. And I feel that it would be an amazing time for you to clean it up. That's the other thing that I would say with the Tower, is it's like one of my favorite, I don't know the actual quote, but I'll say one of my favorite things that I have heard Louise Hay say is that, she says that the reason we have to see problems is because if you have like a bunch of dirt on your floor, how can you sweep it up if you can't see it, right? And it's like that is the time that we're in. It's like, yeah, it might seem like we're seeing a lot of issues and challenges pop up and, difficulties, which is definitely true. But it's like, if we don't see the dirt, how can we fix it, And this is happening on a personal level as well, and this is very common kind of like eclipse energy, is that sometimes we experience a challenge. What I've been saying to other signs as well is that if you read like any older astrology books, a lot of them will say eclipses are like a 1-2 punch. You see the dirt, you clean it up, right? It's like two things. And usually by cleaning it up, you're creating some sort of improvement. So, again, I think this is very common. You have the Ace of Wands, the Six of Cups, and the Six of Swords. 2 sixes. If you've been watching me for a while, you know I love 2 sixes. 2 sixes is like confirmation for your path. It says that you're going the right direction, you're on the right path, you're heading the right way. So obviously that can be a good thing. Ace of Wands can be like out with the old, in with the new. So I feel for a lot of you that you are definitely one of the signs that is probably starting something new, or is being encouraged to do it. Like, I feel that what Aries, like if I could describe what I really feel for Aries deep down inside, it would be like, I feel a lot of Aries are doing a small version of what they want to do in life. So it's like, it's like maybe you want to be famous. I don't know. And it's like maybe you have a small YouTube channel, but it's like, I think there are some tiny little tweaks that would get you to the level that you want to do. But, what I would, again, I'm not calling you out or anything. I would just say, like, are there some fears underneath that are preventing you? Are you afraid of speaking your mind? Do you sit too much on a fence? Are you afraid of sharing your opinions? Do you need to be more controversial? Do you need to do things to stand out more? Do you need to make bigger moves, make a bigger impact? All those, like, all that is popping into my head here, Aries. The other thing about the Ace of Wands is it really encourages creative energy, creative force, being creative, and that's what I would focus on with that card. You have the Six of Cups. Again, if you're attracting love, I feel this could be like a very playful, like I said, I get more of that 2 peas in a pod type of thing. I think that if you meet a person at this time, I would say over the next 6 months, because it's happening right after an eclipse, that, people will be telling you to get a room all the time because, the two of you might be gross together. So you could be attracting a person like that, which is great. But this can also be a card of more playfulness, which comes up with that Seven of Swords. So I think being more playful with what you do would be a good idea. You have the Six of Swords. Six of Swords is moving on to calmer shores. So, I feel that overall, really, this reading is an improvement, even with the Tower, Devil, Ten of Swords, right? It's like 3 cards are not going to make the reading. And, really, we have to take everything into account. You have that card that says the end of a tough cycle approaches. The answers you need are coming. So it's like you've probably been through that energy, and now you're getting to the end of it, which is good. With the Ace of Wands, you have the Ten of Cups. Yes. I mean, really, this reading is all about love, in some way. And so there could be a very strong connection. This could be a person you end up having a family with, like, in the future. It doesn't have to be right now, but definitely could be in the future. With the Six of Cups, you have the Five of Pentacles. You have Five of Pentacles. Again, I think that there could be a little bit of a fear. Like, this is what I would do if I were you, is work on that fear of being left out in the cold, including in business as well. I've been talking to a lot of people. I talk to a lot of people. I have a YouTube group that I run. And, like, one common thing that I see in my group is people, it's like they almost just aren't getting started because they're too worried, about AI, for example, is like the big one, right? So, I have so many people that are like, what's the point? Basically, kind of like having a nihilistic view of the world. And I keep telling those people, it's like, yeah, but, the thing that I think we have to realize with energy right now is that, like, I'm not going to lie, the robots could take over. But, the beautiful thing is it'll be quick. It's like, it won't be like Terminator, right? It's like, what will happen is secretly in the background, AI will create millions of little nanobots that all of a sudden one day will basically suck all the oxygen off of the earth and we'll just all drop dead, right? It'll be quick. So there's really nothing to worry about, is what I'm trying to say here. But also, we have to do what we can with what we got right now. That's like the energy, right? So it's like, while you're worried about this stuff, there are tons of people making money. So it's like, I feel like that's what this is saying. I also feel this in love. It's like, there could be some fears in love, but that's exactly what I would work on. Like, I would work on realizing that you don't need to have those fears because you know the boundaries to put up. Like, you know how to approach and you have seen what to look out for. So this is about, like, trusting yourself. With the Six of Swords, you have the Six of Cups again. So, this right here, the Six of Cups can be a gift from the universe. And, it can represent a blessing in disguise, it can represent a turnaround, is what I meant to say. And so some of you definitely could be experiencing a turnaround. You have this November card. I always clarify these monthly cards. You have this hammock card. It says taking a vacation physically or mentally. It's like you might notice that between now and November, things are a little bit slower. I kind of feel this is true for everyone, but we also shouldn't force things to happen. So, Uranus retrogrades back into Taurus in November, and we also have a Mercury retrograde in November. So, maybe you will take a vacation or you need to take a break in the month of November, but I also wouldn't force things between now and November. You have this basket. It says recognition, reward for merit. 6 of Wands, right? 6 of Wands could be you getting recognition. You have this February card in this cobweb. It says protected from negative forces beyond your control. Boom. It's weird to me that everybody gets this. Like there are in all the decks I use, there are these protection cards for months now. People have been getting these cards of protection. Kind of like I said, I think we should stop worrying and do what we can with what we got right now. Do what you can today, right? You have this lightning card. It says, control your anger or you will be sorry. Yeah, this is true for everyone. I've been talking about this for weeks, that we have to be careful of that, hot-headed energy, no road rage, no flipping people off on the highway, stuff like that. You have this target. It says a goal-oriented person. I think this is saying that you need to be more outcomes focused. You know what I mean? It's like, instead of saying, it's like if you're going to start something, instead of saying, like, I have to do all this work, I think you should be, like, saying to yourself, this is what I'm going to receive for doing this. It's just like a simple little shift. It's like instead of focusing on the work, you're focusing on the result, right? And that's what's popping into my head. So there you go. Interesting, Aries. But thank you for being here, and definitely enjoy your week.